Okay, I believe we're already recording. So for prerequisite for this workshop, I like to put a disclaimer at the beginning of my classes because I don't want it to get lost. I want to set your expectations right. I want the right people to follow the workshop because I don't want you to follow and realize like you are lost by the way, or you can't just follow due to lack of a gap between your knowledge base to really understand what we're teaching. So I would expect someone that wants to follow this class and understand to have a good familiarity with HTML tags. But this is not really a big deal if you don't have much experience with HTML. It's all right. I think you can still hang around. I believe you can still hang around. It should not be a big deal because I will try and cover the very, very basics of HTML. I would also expect that you have like a very good familiarity with Python, with the Python language. So if you have not done Python before, you've not taken a course in Python, you don't know anything about Python, you're probably hearing for the first time, this will not serve you, to be honest. This will not do you any good. My advice would be that you go and take a course on maybe on Udacity. We have a link that we've posted multiple times in the group. So I advise you go and take a course in Python, and you can always come back to watch the replay of this course. So these are the two things that we expect that you have to really follow this course and understand. And our agenda for today is pretty simple. I'm hoping that this will be a 1 hour, 30-minute section. Last time we went beyond that, but I've tried to make this. One thing I want to do is not about the length of the hours we have spent here, is that I give you the very good basics such that you can go out on your own to continue on, on this topic. Yeah. So we'll try to go through this, all of this agenda that we have here. And my code of conduct went to change for those who were in last class. Yeah, if I explain something and you don't understand, I always see it as my fault. So as long as you have the prerequisite, so it's not as if you don't know HTML and then I'm explaining something with HTML and you don't even understand that. That's not my fault. That's because there's a knowledge gap, right? Or you don't know Python, for instance. So as long as you have the prerequisite and I'm explaining something and you don't understand, it's my fault. So that means feel free to ask any questions. And at the end of this class, you understand the concept of web scraping and its application. You'll be able to have some proficiency in parsing HTML documents using Beautiful Soup. We'll talk about what that is. And you would also have like hands-on experience. I would expect that, if you're joining this class, you have your code set up, like you have your IDE open to follow the class as much as you can, but it's not compulsory that you follow the class. There's always the replay for you to, if maybe we are not following at your pace, if you get what I mean, you can always come back to it. So before we go ahead, I remember someone asked, are we going to be scraping social media, internet? I'm not sure what that person mean, and that's why I didn't answer the question on the group, because I was like, I don't really get it. But if it is that, am I going to be scraping maybe Instagram, Facebook on this workshop? No, I won't, but at least I'll be scraping the website. And I believe that, like I said, what I'll be showing you should set you up to go and scrape any website that you want. So I can't, in a class like this, I can't take you to websites, social media scraping, and all of the different ways to scrape different website. We are not scraping the internet. Basically, this is just to show you how to scrape a website. If you really get this, I'm very confident that you'll be able to take that skills to scrape any website you want. So the two libraries that we are going to explore today, they are the most used library in Python to scrape a website, and they are Beautiful Soup and Request. So Beautiful Soup is one of the, we have many Python libraries. It used to pass like HTML and XML documents. It basically helps you to, because the web pages, when you're building a website, you're using HTML and CSS, right? So every website that you see is made up of HTML tags, right? And this library has been built to help you, get that HTML websites, like gets all the code, or that was like the HTML code that was used to build a certain website, and then you're able to use like the elements of the HTML, like maybe the class, of a particular HTML tag, maybe paragraph or division like div, or maybe header tag like that. So it helps you to like, pick the contents that you want by the HTML tag. And request library is popularly used to basically process the making HTTP requests. We know that every website is hosted on, HTTP, right? Either, HTTP or HTTPS, depending on if there is a security on the website. But request allows you to like connect to a website. Basically, that's the simple part of, that's the simple way to put it. So an example of a simple web page, for instance, is, so this, let's look at this. Like I said, you should have familiarity with HTML, but I'll quickly just run through this. For those who are not, you don't know much about HTML, HTML is basically the language you use to build websites. Simple, like HTML, of course, there's the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but is the foundation you use to build the website. Without HTML, we can't use Python to build websites. We can't use JavaScript. Okay, we can use JavaScript. We can't use C++ to do a web page. Do you get? We have to use HTML. And just like the way you have in Python programming, you have the syntax. In HTML, you also have the syntax. And this is like the syntax that shows a very small page. And this, for example, you use this to declare, like, oh, I'm writing an HTML code. So this HTML starting here. So we have what we call opening tag and closing tag in HTML. And for every time you do an open tag, there's always a closing tag. And the difference is that there's a slash in front of that closing tag. And after that, you declare the head. I will show us what the head looks like soon. But the head is usually that place that we see at the top of the page. So every top of the page, when you check the source code, whatever is in the top of the page is inside a title tag. That's why you see it there. And then you have, like I said, an opening, closing, and then the body. So the body is where all the other things you see on the website goes into. And then you then have like the HTML tag. I won't really explain this, but it basically just see that a web page is made up of HTML code. And this is a sample of what an HTML code looks like. And remember that I said Beautiful Soup is help us to like pass through the HTML elements. So this shows us like the tree. So there's like, it's like a tree when you're building like a website, and then from the tree, like you may have things inside different aspect of the HTML tag. So we call it like a DOM tree, and the DOM tree basically represents it represents a, how do I put it now? It's like, when you have a house and you are trying to say, okay, the roof, under the roof, we have like a building, or inside the parlor, we have the toilet, and then inside the toilet, we have, you keep going into branches of, starting from the building itself and the number of rooms that you have. And then from the number of rooms, you can see the features that will be in the room: 2 windows, 1 door, okay, that sort of thing. So it's the same way when it comes to like the DOM tree. You build like, a tree of the HTML page. So to just show you what I meant, the title page that I was talking about, this is it. So, this is like what it looks like. Every time you go to a website, so if I say I'm going to Facebook, and some of you have, no, don't see my Facebook. I don't want to see my Facebook, sorry. Don't see my Facebook. Oh. Let's go to google.com. So you will see that there's Google here. So this Google here is inside the title page. So that's basically it. So whenever you open a web page and you see something here, is inside that title page. And to just look at a very simple, what should I search today? Let me just do Python, right? And let's inspect elements. So when you right click, when you do inspect elements, in fact, you can see that everything here, you can see the HTML starting, and by the time we go to the bottom, HTML, and that is what encompasses everything that is here. And as you click on this arrow that is here, and you try to go to any side of the page, you will see that it's showing you the source code, the HTML source code for that. So if I go to this Python learn how to code, it's telling me that it's inside a span HTML and it's inside a div class. So that's where the tree starts revealing itself. Let me say I want to just highlight this one here. So it's telling me this one is also in a div class. If I expand the div class, it's showing me that this text is inside the span and all of that. So all these things, this div is an HTML tag. H2 is an header. Header is basically like heading of a document, you know, and there are different type of header classes. There's H1 to H6. If I can manipulate this and change it to H4, you see that it will change what is here, except maybe the font size is, you know, it will change what is here. Or maybe let me change it to H1. Okay, it's not changing. I don't know why. There's probably some CSS. So CSS is how you style the text here. So there's probably some CSS overriding it, but that's basically the you know, the concept behind, you know, HTML tags. Are there any questions so far? Have I said gibberish or have I said anything that's confusing? If anything, if you have any questions, just, you know, probably raise your hand. Okay. In the absence of none, I believe everyone is on the same page, which is good. It will make this class much more faster. Awesome. Thank you, Enola. So quick question. I think I tried to, yep. I'm going to share the link, this link in the, oh goodness. Yeah, guys, just give me, this thing want to, yeah. Okay, there we go. Let's like the dark mode. So I'm going to share this link and let me take it out of the page that you guys see. And I'm going to ask, so this is the question. If you are scraping data from a job vacancy website, what are the things you want to extract? So think of this as, you know, I have a job vacancy website, like a job, the common one in Nigeria is jobberman.com, for instance, or let's say some of us use LinkedIn Jobs. So, you know, you people, I post jobs every Thursdays, right? So if I'm going to be, you know, scraping web data from a job vacancy website, what kind of data will I be looking out for? Oh, sorry, let me take this back. So that's the question. And I'm putting I don't even, okay, I'm creating the question so that you can put in your answer on Slido. What data will you extract on this following website? So the first one is a job vacancy website. The second one is a house listing website. So let me now, this thing will not disgrace me. I'm so sorry. I'm using Slido for the first time. So I really hope. Hey. I really hope this works. Let's see if people are able to put their comments. Please click on the link and try to send your answer. Oh my goodness. There are no active posts. I don't think I'm able to do this. Please try to click on that link and tell me what you see. If you are able to, I thought I tried it and it worked. Still wants to disgrace me. Can anyone try and see if you are able to make sense of what I've done? Otherwise, please just put it in the chat section, maybe next time. Because I don't think, nah. You should see something to click start. Okay, I think I see someone type house types. Okay, I think you can send in your answer. Yeah, although it's not looking like what I wanted. It's working. Oh, goodness, Lord, thank you. What are the kind of data sets? So not just for the house, but, you know, a job vacancy website. What are the things you'll be looking out for? The most popular jobs. Okay. Job role, house price, house types. I guess you're saying like bungalow, 2-bedroom, 3-story, 1-story, job description. Okay, fair enough. The salary range, brilliant for the job vacancy, I guess. Yeah. Okay, roles and salary. Cool. Salary, job description. Okay. Number of bedroom and bedrooms, yeah, for each of the house. Okay. The skills of needed for the job, yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. So you're right, like that makes sense, right? So the date's job was posted, industry, salary, skills with presence of yards, yeah, like 400 square meter or 200 square meter. The location, yes, the location of the house as well. The experience and skills for the job. Okay, thank you, everyone. Yeah, that's it. Like I think I have a very brilliant set of people. So yeah, so today we are going to be working on one of these, which is a house listing website. I decided not to do the job vacancy website. It's something I've been planning to do for like God knows how long now, but I've not had the time. And I felt, okay, let me do the house listing website, and probably somebody, as you know, like I post job on Thursday, but I still manually go and actually help you guys dig out those jobs. Like I basically do research myself and, get the data needed and then compile everything. But I'm hoping that at the end of this workshop, somebody is able to deliver a script that will help me with the job vacancies that we are posting every Thursday. So that's that thing, because it's something that can actually be automated. I've not just had the time. I was going to do it for this workshop, but I felt, yeah, why not just make it a task that somebody, from the workshop, can be 1, 2, 3, anybody, or people can team up to work on it. I really appreciate it, because then on Thursdays we can all just be proud that we are using that to everyone have access to it, and they are able to like get jobs right in their field. So hopefully, somebody does that. So we are going to be scraping a house website, a house listing website, and as I mentioned here, like, in the last class, I said curiosity killed the cats. Everybody likes to say it, but nobody likes to say what happens. Like, but satisfaction brought us back with 7 more lives. So please feel free to ask me question. So the flow of the class is that we will look at the websites that we want to scrape, and we'll pass the tree manually ourselves. So we will look at it and just say, okay, if I want to pick this is what I do. And then we'll dive right into coding and doing it together. So please fasten your seatbelt for that. So this is the website. I'm just going to go straight to the main website. Sorry, I'm partial, but this is the website that I used to when we are recently moving. So when I say with us, myself and my husband, we are recently moving from our current house to another place. This was the website that we were using to search for the houses. And, I even wish that I kind of set an alert. Like I was telling my husband, like, oh, this thing, when we're even looking for house, we're manually, reloading every day and then sending our this thing. I was like, I should have just automated it, So this is where your skills come in. This is where you are able to show your power as a data scientist, or data analyst, or whichever you want to, a data engineer, whichever you want to align yourself with. So Rightmove is the website that we use. I don't know for Nigeria. I'm sure there's one for Nigeria as well, but Rightmove. I should make the screen bigger. Is it this one that you're seeing now, or the previous one? Is it fine now? If it's fine, just tell me yes. Like this current screen. You can just put yes in the chat section. Hesbon. Okay. So I'm going to type in what's it called? So right now, what the task we're doing is that we have a particular location. So I was thinking of which location is very popular that is not London in UK. Like everybody we shall know, they've heard of it. So Manchester was where I choose. I believe everyone, because at least some of you that play ball, know about football, you must have heard of Manchester. So Manchester United, for instance, Man U. Everybody knows Man U. If you don't know Man U, I don't know what's happening. I'm sure you shall know Man U. So I decided, okay, we'll just go for Manchester location. So normally, if I want to search for houses in Manchester, I'll just come to Greater Manchester, which covers the whole Manchester, and I will choose if it is sale or rent. One thing I also want to explain is that Beautiful Soup is not the only website, it's not the only library you can use to actually scrape websites. We have Selenium. Selenium is also another library that people use to scrape websites, but Selenium is much more complex. I've actually done data scraping with Selenium, and I'll tell you the instance. The instance where I had to do data set with Selenium was because in my current company, we were trying to gather images of, so it's a beauty tech company, and one of our solutions that we provide as a service to beauty brands is a skin analysis model that is an instant segmentation model that could identify, you take a selfie of yourself and it can tell you like if you have any skin, not skin disease, skin concern that you have. So it could be maybe you have acne or dark circles, or you have hyperpigmentation or redness, or, you know, some of those skin concerns. And we can, so we have like an AI recommendation engine behind the scene. So when you take a picture of your face, we can tell you the products that you should buy, like based on, we'll tell you the concerns and the products that fit those concerns. So we were trying to diversify our images, and because we had a lot of Caucasian images, so Caucasian white people images. And as I mean, I'm grateful that I'm in such company where that, you know, when it comes to like building a model that is not biased, I'm allowed to like air my opinion. So I took up the challenge to actually increase the, you know, how diverse our data set is, so that it can rightly represent everyone and be able to identify even people of, you know, black color. So on Google, of course, I was doing it manually before. So I'll do Latino with acne selfie, or I'll do face image, something like this. And then I'll go to the images, because what we wanted to do is to download these images and then have an expert in-house that will annotate, you know, the images, like the regions of the images. So that's what I was doing. And I was doing it manually, but it was not making sense, right? So I had to like use, you know, automation to actually download this data. Of course, there are data sets that don't make sense that I hear, like all these images, and I have to get rid of them because we just want one person in the image. So there's still the aspect of manual cleaning, but that's one aspect where you may need data clean, you know, data extraction. So I had to use Selenium, and I can't even remember what was the problem with Beautiful Soup. I think, yeah, Google does not allow you get their website with Beautiful Soup. By the time you pass in Beautiful Soup to get, when you use the request library to get the HTML page, right, to get the HTML code that makes up a particular web page, it was returning like an empty dictionary, meaning like they don't want to give us access to it. So their website like that, where, you know, you may not be able to actually access their web page. They've you know, blocked it from their internal, like their code base, where you can. So Google is one of them, but with Selenium I was able to crack it. The difference between Beautiful Soup and Selenium is that Selenium also uses like HTML tag, but Selenium has like it's like the way I came here and I typed. So what Selenium does is that it will play the scenario as if you are the one doing it. I hope that makes sense. It will play the scenario like you are the one doing it. So with Selenium, I will say go to google.com, type in Latino with, I'll tell you the text that I should type in, and I'll say, then download go to the images tab. So by the time you even run the code, it will open the browser by itself. When you run the script for Selenium, it will open the browser by itself. It will go to google.com. So you can just be watching, and it should be as if somebody is typing or remote controlling your system, but they're actually not, you know, is your script doing that on your behalf. So it's like writing a bot to do that task for you. So Selenium is used to do that. And there are many, I believe if you Google, there are many tutorials, but if anyone wants me to, I don't know if I want to take a course on Selenium because it's quite complicated, but we'll see in the future. If, you know, if people want it, I'm very fine to take that course. But basically, there are different ways, but the ones I've used is Beautiful Soup and Selenium. And I don't, for any web scraping I've done, I've not had to, those two have always served the purpose for me. So that's it. So coming back here, any questions so far, please? I believe there's question, you put it in the chat, so that's what I respect. I'm cognizant of time because it's already 7:30. We started 7 p.m. I'm not even started coding. So I'm going to inspect. So this is, you know, the website that we want to scrape. We've come to the URL. We basically want to scrape. You can see that there are like over 1,000 results of houses here. And we probably need information like the location, the house, the address. For UK, they don't usually write the full address. They'll just give you like the street number so that you will not just go to the house and maybe go and knock on the door or something. So they just give you the street number. Is until you want to say, well, I want to view the house. So the agency will not communicate the full address to you. So let's say we want to, get the address, the price of the house. So PCM just means per month. The features that they have, how the house has, let's just look at this one, the kind of house that it is. So we have different houses in the UK. We have apartment houses, like is a flat, basically something like a flat. We have terrace. All of them that shall have different. I don't want to. We are no house agency, so we are not housing agents. So, but this just means the kind of house that it is. Like maybe it's a duplex or bungalow. I think that's the best way. So let's say we want to scrape it, right? And that's because probably we are searching for houses, or sometimes it could be that you have a house regression task. Of course, you can find data sets, but you see those data sets that you see on Kaggle, somebody scraped it. So somebody has scraped it somewhere. So let's say you are finding, a lot of data set for a particular place. You can then decide to scrape the kind of data sets that you want. Probably it's not available online, like the one I gave you the example of the kind of images we were looking for is not available online, so we needed to do it ourselves. So there could be many reasons that you want to scrape a website, and there could be certain information you want to look for. So you come to inspect, right? And let's just go to the very top. Like I said, you come to this arrow, you click it, and then you try and see where this entire frame, the entire frame that covers the details of the houses, right? What data is that? Like where is it located in the space of this HTML? So for this one, for instance, we will see that there is a big div. I see that as I highlighted the div, is highlighting all the houses in this current page. So there's this big div, and inside this big div, there is now each apartment. So just watch me as I move this cursor. This is the first one. This is the second. You can see that as I'm moving, is highlighting the houses, right? And after this one, we see this div. This one is just an advert, on the website. So we don't need that one. So as you keep moving, you see. Okay, let me scroll down because then you will not see some of them. So you can see this one here, and then there's this one here. So you will see that as I'm moving, it's taking me through each of those sections, divisions that have the details of the houses and the things I'm looking for. Now, the next thing you want to look for, this is an HTML tag. Div is an HTML tag. One thing you will notice is that all of them have different ID. But when you're doing web scraping, you start from what you want to scrape and you look for something that is, what's the word now? Something that is peculiar to that. In fact, in all of their declarations in the HTML tag is the same. So this one is very simple. As you look at, each of these div that contains the, that whole section, what do you see that is common in all of these divs? So put it in the chat, please. What do you see that is common? Okay, someone said the class. Who is writing nonsense on my thing? No. Who is this person? Please, who has written? The person is probably trying to annotate or something. Please use the chat section. Oh God, how do I clear this now? Does anybody know I can clear this thing? Because we will have to manage you. If it's like that, I will have to, and unfortunately, I have to share this thing on YouTube. Somebody said the ID. You are wrong, Goeniola. The ID is not the same. If you look at the div, there's an eraser icon. Oh, thank you. Eraser. 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 Oh, eraser. Thank you. You just saved a Texas. Thank you so much. So I go back. Thank you very much. And Ella, you said the ID. You are wrong. So can you tell me why you are wrong? What I said was that the ID, you have to look for something that is common to all these, all these things here, all these divs that you have here. So can you tell me why you are wrong? Okay, you've changed class. So why is it the class? Why is it the class? But I don't just want you to go with the flow. I hope you are not just going with the flow.
Okay, so I was just looking for the common words earlier.
Okay.
But now I see that ID is tied to different ID
number.
in it. But then the class in everything
is the same. Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you. So the class there's a noise coming from that end. Or is it your network? I don't know. Mercy, can you please help me mute her? Or who is, I don't know, somebody is sure not muted. Please let's try to maintain this thing now, because these things just draw us back and distract me. So we will see that the class is common across each of these divs that you have here. So brilliant, that's one step to it. Now let's say that, let's open each of them. So I've opened this house, right? And why now? I'm not annotating again. So you can see that there are more details on the single page of each of the property listing. There are things like, is it furnished, the furnished type. So furnished means like there is all these things that you are seeing. It's not an empty house that you have to buy your furniture. Everything is already inside the house. Or like the minimum tenancy, the council tax. Yeah, they always use bill to kill us. So council tax is something that we have to pay every month for water, for our dustbin, and for some other things anyway. The let available dates, and things like that. So you can see that on the page. So EPC, we have EPC rating, and anyway, let's just the nearest station to that particular distance. So if you are somebody that you want to live close to where the bus stop or the station is, you can check how many miles it is from you. But anyway, you see that here we just have like very little information about each apartment. But when we open it, we have more information. So let's say that we want to scrape for each of them, but we also need the link for each of them as well. I want you to look at the property ID here. I mean the div ID here, and tell me if you see it here. So if you look at this one, right? Let me try and highlight it. Hopefully I get it though. It's sometimes hard to. Yeah, so you can see that is 140468082, right? And when I open the link, is that ID that is there. I don't know why it was putting this one, but if you can see it will always reroute to, I think this one they are trying to say is for renting or whatever. But you will see that the ID is actually used to access the entire details that we need for this particular listing. And is the same across every other one. So if I open this one, open link in another tab, you see that there's also an ID here. And by the time we check by the time we check it here, 139130063, you see that that's what is here. So we know that if we can fetch the ID here in each of the div, right? And we just do rightmove.co.uk/property/ that ID is definitely going to bring us to the page that contains all the details related to the house. We are not going to do that one today. So that one is for you. I decided that I'm not going to go to that, but part of the things that we will scrape is the ID, this ID that you have here. We are going to also get the location, you know, and all of these details. Now, this will always differ across different websites. I can tell you that there are some websites that you will go to find something that is actually, of course, I've used one of the best examples of web scraping, so I'm not going to be shy to say that there's really no, but like I said, this class should help you to tackle any web scraping task that you have ahead of you. So there are some websites you will go where in time you start looking at what you want, you will not even see, you will not see anything common at all. Their website like that, I call them demonic websites, because they will just, but it's very rare. It is very rare, because when you look at how HTML and CSS works, right, when you are creating a div and you want them to, you are putting the same information, repeated information in that same div, you want to give them the same styling, you want to give them the same, so they will definitely have maybe the same ID or class. So it's very rare, but I can tell you that there's some websites you come across and you'll be wondering, like, who are the people that have, you know, what are the people that have built these websites? So there are cases like that. But in most cases, you would usually find something that, you know, is peculiar to all of them. And that is the information you need with, that's what you need to use with Beautiful Soup to extract what you want. So given this, I've explained how we go to each of the link, right? Because they all have it. Some of them, it may not even be the ID. It may be something else. It may be that the slug, so I could call this slug. Slug means like a unique ID for, you know, a particular page that you're trying to access or something. For some of them, it may not be this ID that they've given. It may be that, although it makes sense that you have many houses, so you just always give them unique ID. But some may decide to say maybe what can be unique to a house. I really don't know. So I think an ID is just the best way to go, right? Because if it is about, is it a bungalow, it can be many bungalows, so you cannot say slash bungalow or something, right? Or maybe slash bungalow slash Green Valley. You may have a listing where there are many houses that is bungalow on that same street, so giving it a unique ID is what would make sense. But as you explore different websites, you will find different things. But the common sense is that you want to look at what is common among the things that you are trying to extract information from, and that is what you need. Please, is there any questions so far? I don't know why I feel like maybe people are not following me. Please, if I'm making sense so far, please put number 1. I really want to be sure that everyone is getting it. Please, if I'm making sense so far, just give me the number 1. All right, thank you. You are encouraging me, because I don't want to waste anybody's time. All right, thank you very much. So now we'll go to the main part of code. How do we go about sites with no such a common feature? Yeah, very good question. You have to manually do it. I didn't want to say it, but yeah, you come across those websites, and because the way Beautiful Soup works is that is either you now manually start writing, you know, the different property that identify with each other, but it doesn't make sense. By the time you just copy by the time you're doing that, just copy the details and be typing it yourself, right? Do you get? But honestly, you barely find that. I want to see if Jobberman, let's look at Jobberman. There's no big deal. We are yet to know, right? So let's say tech, because we can all relate to that. Cool. All industries. Okay, let's choose Lagos. Find a job. Okay, let's quickly use this as a quick exercise. So I'm doing this. So this is why I didn't even want to use anything. God forgive me. So see now, I said software and data jobs in Lagos. What is this? What is this? Okay, it's in featured. Oh, forgive me, it's in featured. Featured is probably people that have paid, and whatever you search, they must show you their job. Okay, that makes sense. But at least this is the one that is here: full stack developer, entry level web developer, intern. Okay, cool. So let's say, let me just give you if you're looking for a job right now, you can actually do this website. You can actually scrape these websites And you can even set an alert, although I don't want to. You can actually set up an alert for yourself where there's something that is scraping the website, maybe at the end of the week, and then it will send you an email. I mean, some of you create alerts. That's how those alerts works basically. But their own alerts is that when they add the job, whatever you put in the search term for the alerts, the system will like do a search for it and see, do a match and see if what you have searched is a job, right? Is the job that have been posted, and then they will send you an alert. Well, you can actually do your own alerts, like the one I explained for, when we were searching for a house. So let's inspect elements. We are still going to go to the coding part, but I just want to make sure that, we see another kind of, see this one, yes, as I'm even seeing the HTML, it's already doing one kind. Okay, anyway, let's select this one. Not the featured one. I want the one that is okay, let's use this one. So this is the div. The div is now inside another div. Then the div is now, let's just say this is it. So this covers, I'm trying so that as I'm highlighting it, so you can see that covers all the information. You're saying I'm coming to you. That covers all the information, right, of that particular distance. And by the time we start scrolling down, you can see that as I'm highlighting on each div, right, it shows the distance. So you can see that this one is not just one div. By the time, let's collapse this div that represents it. By the time I expand this div, there's another div that now it splits the information into two. So the first part has entry-level web developer, the company, location, what if it's part-time, the salary, the job function, and then the other one has details about the company, like what the description of the company basically. So you can see that the first one is this, and then inside that same first one, they now have another div inside. I don't know why they have built their website like this, but this is where you start coming through. So they have another div inside. So let's expand that one. They now have another div. We now expand that one. So finally, we get to where we are going. This is what we need. So let's look at one example. So we've checked this one, and you can see there's a div inside the div. Man, they now have what we call link. Ahref is just used to, so that means that when I open it, it will take me to the URL. So you can see that in the Ahref, they have even given me the URL of, the URL that takes me to all the details that I now need about this particular job. You can see what I'm saying. Look at the class now. It has many classes. It has many classes, right? So what we want to do is, let's see if this class is maintained across all the jobs. So let's look for another one. It's already confusing itself. Okay, this is one. So let's expand it. Expand the first one. Expand. Before we get to where we are going. So I can't even, So this is the first one. Sorry, it can be confusing, but just pay attention. So this is another one. So this is the class relative MB3, blah, blah, blah. And then this is the other one. So if you look at it, they actually have the same class, but they have many classes inside. They have many classes, but at least what I usually do, I'll examine like 3 of them. And if I see that they maintain the same class, I just know that, okay, everything is like that. You don't have to examine all the sections. So you can see that this one now, it has many classes, but you can just pick by one class. Some of them might have multiple classes, but when you are picking with Beautiful Soup, which we will see, you pick by one class. So that's basically, I'm not supposed, I didn't plan to, comment, but I just wanted to show you as an example. They will never always look alike, but the basics is that you understand these things, and they will help you, whatever website you'll be able to scrape it. And you see that for this one now, it's not like the other one where they are giving us the property ID that will now attach to a domain that will give us the URL for that particular listing. This one they've even given us in the Ahref, and with Beautiful Soup, you just need to identify the link inside this flex class. So sometimes you can even do multiple classes, like the div class, because sometimes it could be that there's another div somewhere in this page, maybe at this site, that is not in the league of the listings, and it has the same class. So sometimes you want to make sure that you even copy all the classes if possible, and say Beautiful Soup should find all the div that have these classes, and it should pick the Ahref, that is the link inside that particular class. Any questions so far? This one is, feel free to explore it. I've explained the basics. So by the time we are done today, you should be able to, I believe someone should be able to, like, search it out. So if there are no questions, Uzain, please, can you explain what you are, I'm not sure I got your question. If you say the how, please, I don't know what you were referring to. So if you can help me clarify that. In the meantime, let's get started. So once we have the websites, like you are on that page, the simple thing that I always just copy the whole URL like that place that you want to scrape, just copy everything. No questions yet, probably after. Okay. Then I hope I'm able to answer. If not, just put what you're trying to get clarification on in the chat. I'll answer to it. So if you're not familiar with pip, pip is basically what you use to install Python libraries. I'm not going to explain further, but that's it. Like, just see it as something you use to install something. Like when you wanted to install Python, and there's a way you went about it with, you probably have installed Python with pip self. So I'll just assume that you know about it. So I already have it. So, and then you import, like how to say, set an alert for a job or post of interest. Oh, okay. You have to scrape the website first. It's a lot of things that I can't explain on this call, to be honest. I know it sounds like pretty straightforward with the way I mentioned it, but it's actually not pretty straightforward, because you need a service that you use to initiate email. You need an API service like Twilio. Twilio is one. I don't know if you have heard of Twilio, but Twilio is one example that has been used, you can use to set alert. But this workshop is not for that, so I'm sorry, I will not be able to. If it's something that is easy, it's straightforward to explain, I'll explain, but it's really not straightforward to explain. But you can always, like, maybe go on YouTube, or if I see any YouTube tutorial, I can share on the group. You can remind me on the group and I'll share. Sure, you're welcome. So this is how you import requests. Like I mentioned, request is to access the URL, HTTP URL, and Beautiful Soup will help us to pass through. Pass, when I say pass, this is what I mean by pass. P-A-R-S-E. Hashtag P-A-R-S-E. So pass through the DOM tree, like that structure of the HTML pages to extract all we want. So these are import Beautiful Soup. You do from BS4, so you'd have installed it first, and then from BS4 import Beautiful Soup. So now I'm going to declare a variable and call it my so I've copied, remember, I've copied that page that I want to scrape. I've copied the page, right? So I call it URL link. That's the name of my variable. So you declare it, and then you can then do rest is just this. I struggle with variable name, guys, so indulge me if I'm writing stupid variable names. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I'm the only one that struggles with it, but I struggle with variable name. So you just do request.get. That's basically, so request.get is the code, that's the syntax. You say request.get. I want to get, the detail, what is inside this URL link. It's as simple as that. And then you run it. Even for will this be available, the video? Yeah, I will put it on YouTube so you can follow it. So once I do request.get URL link, yeah, that gives me, it puts it inside that variable. So how do we know if, what we've done is, how do you know the status code? I believe we are familiar with status code. We have seen error 404. So error 404 means page not found. We have seen error 403. Error 403 means like forbidden. So maybe there is an extra layer of security that has been put on a page, and you're accessing that page without that security, so it will tell you that you're forbidden. So there are many different error status code, but we know that error status code 200 means that it's successful. So to just make sure that, okay, we are able to actually get we have been able to make a connection to that page, you can then do print res.status status code. I don't know all of these things off though. It's because I've prepared I have like another place I'm like looking at for my code. So don't think I'm on Jagaban. Like I just sometimes I have to like check documentation to refresh, especially if it's something that I've done for a long time. I obviously can't remember. So that's, if you were in the last workshop, I explained how you groom your skills in this sort of way. So this is on, if you go to request documentation, you find it there, like how to check the status code for a particular request that you need. So you can see that it's 200, so I'm rest assured that everything is fine. So for some pages, if you pass google.com, I think it will show you 400, I think so. And sometimes we show you 200, but that's come empty. It's just saying that, oh, I was able to successfully make it, but on the back end of the other people, they've actually said you can successfully scrape, but by the time you get the results, you get an empty page. So don't be always fooled by status code. How we can really know that what we've done, or what's like we've actually been able to get it, is by using Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup is like the best way to know that there is actually something in that response, like this rest that we're having. And I'll just call it soup. Like I said, I'm bad with naming variables. So Beautiful Soup, and then I'll do rest. So remember, rest is the variable that I've passed the connection feedback to. So rest here. So I do rest.text. And then I tell, I pass this extra argument to Beautiful Soup. So I'm basically saying that the variable that I've put here for you, sorry, it's text like this. I'm basically telling Beautiful Soup that whatever I've passed here is not a string or a dictionary. It is actually a web page. It is an HTML page, and I want you to use the HTML parser function, like module, to pass this. So we are going to do that, and I don't want you to be scared for what we will now see after that. So let's inspect soup. So soup is like saying all of this thing that you see here, I've not been able to copy it. That's what soup should be. You can see it's taking time. Yeah, it's a lot of things. You can see it's really big, but I can tell you that all of those information that you have seen is here. But you can see, because it's a lot, you can't use this one to actually start figuring out what is common to what. The best way is to start from the web page. Study the web page first. That's the best way to save your time. If you don't study the web page and you say you want to figure it out from soup, you waste a lot of time doing that. So it's from the web page that you can actually know what you're looking for. Because as you can see here, it's not looking fine as it is on the web page. But I can tell you that the information is here. It is here. Let me see if I can find. So let's try to, one way that I was even able to do it was I just expanded one of these. And then, so let me refresh the page, because you can see that the apartment has changed. So sometimes, and that's because they are adding more. So this page is being updated like almost every, I don't know if they have like a bot that is adding these listings, but by the time we search in another 5 minutes, you will see that it has changed. If you remember, we had this one at the top, but now you can see that there's not extra to that. They just probably added. You can see that they put added to this, so they probably just added it between the time that I came to this page and when I refreshed now. So let's just, we can be sure that this one is there because this one has been there before. Which one was I saying? Yeah, I think it was it this one? Let me check here. Graver Lane, yeah, Graver Lane. Yeah, so I'm going to just copy. I don't know, I can't copy it. Sorry, please. Okay, let me just copy it like this. So Graver Lane. So I'm going to search this soup now. It's a lot, you can see. So how we can know that it's there is that this is too much. You can see what I'm saying. So you see that it's actually there. it is there. It's just that, you know, things have changed, right? So let's see. So you can see that when we check for Graver Lane here, is inside this meta you know, thingy. We didn't check for each of the address, but at least let me just check for one of them. You can see that it's inside an A class, and when you expand that A class, is inside this address class, and then inside this address. So you can decide to take it by the address class or take it by the meta or whatever. But if you check what is here, you can see that it's only the meta one that is showing us. It has discarded the address. So that's something to note as well. By the time you use Beautiful Soup, sometimes the structure may change a little bit, but I can tell you that the information you are looking for is there. And the best way to sometimes find, you know, that information you are looking for is just after you've scraped everything, put it in a variable, and you've printed the variable, just start searching some of the things that you have seen here so that you can see if it has reassigned or discarded some things and reassigned it to another HTML tag. So there are 3 occurrences of Graver Lane. So there's one that is meta contents, there's one that is inside the span, and let's see the third one. This one is even looking like it's, so at least we know that, you know, Graver Lane is here. So let's see for another address. Let's see for another address. Let me check for this one, just to establish the fact that it has reassigned, you know, is not inside this address tag, is actually showing this meta one. So the good thing is that that's the address we are still looking for. So it doesn't change anything for us. So yeah, I'm correct. So it's either we use the meta contents or we use span, right? And this span is, you see that there's the address class here, but it's more like it has removed the title, sort of. It doesn't take the title in the address. It only shows the address class and all these things. And then what is inside the address class is there. So good for us that at least they put the address again inside the, you know, inside the address tag, so we can take it from there, right? So any questions? Can we use a Python syntax to inspect? I don't know. There may be someone, of course, you can use regex. Yeah, you can use regex. I don't know if you've heard of regex. You can use regex, because if it's a site that is plenty, you may not be able to be doing all this search. So you can just use regex to, regex is a way to find, you know, things and stuffs, right? So you can use regex to do this. Regex is also another library in Python used to, so you can give a sentence with regex and say, find me this inside the sentence, right? So, and I think there's even find all, or I hope I'm right. I'm not sure, but I know regex. I'm very sure of regex. So you can use regex to find it. But I just manually, you know, just checked myself. So at least we know that the address now is inside this. What else are we looking for? This property ID, right? So let's try to see the property ID for this one. Let's see if it's putting it inside a div ID or it has reassigned it or something. There's a lot of them, so I don't really know why. Okay, so what we see here is that it's no longer inside a div. To be honest, I'm not really sure. Okay, it's inside a div, sorry, forgive me. So it's inside this div, yeah, where the class is. So we can actually say, okay, find the div that has this class and pick the ID. And we know that at least we are removing, you know, we are selecting just this number that is here, right? Or another way is that we can say find a class, because here this one has property dash the number. So we can extract it and then use Python to like remove property dash. Or another simple way is, okay, even if we use this one too, we still need to extract the number, because as you see here, when we, property slash, okay, let me see, is it proper? Oh, beautiful. So we can actually use the A class. We can say find the A class with this you know, class. We probably need to also check that this class is the same as, you know, all the other class, or we can use data test actually. So we can see what's common, and then we can say pick the href, because we know that when we have this href, it represents each of the house, and we can say the link to the house is rightmove.co.uk/ this href that we have extracted. I hope I'm not too fast. I know it's a lot, sorry. I hope I'm not too fast. Okay. No, all right. Thank you, Machi. Okay, beautiful. Only one person said no. Okay, oh, I will assume I'm not too. But yeah, hopefully, I hope, hopefully I'm right. So, how do we get the list of all the, because some of you are familiar with pagination. So you definitely know that these are not all the houses in Manchester. So by the time you click next, there's probably something in this URL. Let me bring this one here. Let me see. By the time we do next, this URL is going to change, and most time it's usually by probably the index. So the index is 24. Let's go to the next page and just watch how that index move. Index is 48. So you can see that you can always scrape and you'll be updating. You can just write a for loop. In this case, I've only scraped the first page. But if you want to like scrape, you can see they are like 1414 results, and you know that what changes is the index here, and is loading every, like, I believe it's 24 per page. So what you can do is like just go through this all this thing that you have here, and then say replace this index with number. So 24, 48, 48 plus 12, 60, like that. You'll be changing the number until you get to the last one. So, but for now, let's go to page 1 and see what the index is. Machi, I saw your message, your private message. Why we scrape data set is sometimes, why we do web scraping is because there are times that the data set you are looking for is not online, but it's on a web page, and you need to extract that web page into the data. I gave an example. Maybe I don't know if you joined this class early, but you have to rewatch. I gave an example of my current workplace and how I had to do web scraping for a particular. You joined late, so you'll be punished though. I'll not explain again. Go and watch the beginning listing of this class. Sorry. It's all right. I know circumstances may make you join it, but I think I've explained it. I said there are times that some data sets that you're looking for, they don't exist in a structured data, maybe in a CSV or Excel sheet, but it's on a web page, and you need to transform that web page to an Excel sheet or a tabular form. So that's one of the reasons why you do web scraping. Basically, you need data sets, and that data set is not on Kaggle. You can't just go online and download it. It's particularly on a website, and you need to scrape that website to get the data. So that's basically the summary of it. But I gave a case study that you can rewatch later. So now I was saying, the index. So you say that the index for this, there's no index in this first page. So so for the first page, you don't need index, right? Is after you go to the next page that you start seeing index, as you see here, right? That's when they introduce index to the URL. So I believe that's clear for you to know how you can, because I didn't do that in this workshop. I only scraped the first page. So I'm hoping that after this, you take this as you're welcome. You take this as this thing too. Somebody said the last class was long, so I tried to shorten it as much as possible, just to give you the basics, like I said, and you'll be able to move from there. So I'll just be copying the code now and paste and explain because of time. So we want to get, okay, for this particular URL, I believe it's 24 or 25 these things that is on that page, per page, right? And we already know that the div, the thing that shows each of the listing is inside a div, and the unique class for that div is this class. Remember the very first time I asked that what's common, right? It was this class, and this is the name of the class. So if we want to verify that, okay, for all this div and for how many listings have we been able to get, right? Because we know that each listing have this class in it. So so you just do soup, because soup contains all of the web page, right? And you do find all div with the class. So that's what we have, that's the syntax, that's what we have written here. And I'm doing like length of all the apartment, because it will return all the divs. Please give me a moment. Zoom recording. Yeah, thank you. I forgot when I came back. So I'm doing apartment as zero just to see the first one, right? So we can ignore, there are some details you see here that you don't have any business with it, but let's keep scrolling down to find what we need. So this is the div class, right, that have the href that we need. There's also the A class here that have the code that we need. And then inside these apartments, we can see the type of house inside an H2 class. The address is inside, oxygen tower is inside Meta. Let me see what else is inside here that we want to extract. This description. I don't know if the description is inside the apartment, but one way to do that is let's find on the website itself the address that have this oxygen. It's because the website has changed. I'm sure it's because of that. I'm not sure. Okay, no. Okay, let's check the name. I don't know why. Let's check another one. Apartment 1. Let's find the address for that one. 58. Okay, let me copy this and try to see if it's on the website. I believe it should be, or if not, which website? Okay, so we can see it here. Let's see if the price is there, 995. So I'm going to inspect element again. Let's see the HTML tag that should have the price is inside the span class with property card dash price value. So let's see. Okay, brilliant. So yeah, we have a span class with that, and the value is there. So we can see that the details we need is inside each of the apartments, right? Because we have said, when we expanded the div, we knew that the div carried all of the information. So we of course, it makes sense that inside each of the apartment it has returned with that div, all the details we need is inside. So we just now need to now navigate each of the elements here to find the property, the HTML property that is associated with it. So I'm going to clear this because it's just too long and confusing. So the first thing we want to do is to get which one should I use? Which one should we find first? I think should you do the price? Yeah, I think the price is easier, right? Let's see, where did you get the price again? 995. So it's inside the, and it's inside the span class that has this class, right? That's this property card dash price value. So what we need to do is let's go to another cell. The code for that too is very easy. We have 14 more minutes to go, so if I'm rushing, just forgive me. So let's do apartment 1. So this is just me declaring a variable, right? Let me clear. I don't want to clear it because we'll be using it. Why is it no? Apartments. Sorry, forgive me. It's supposed to be apartments. Okay, supposed to be apartments. So I'm selecting a particular apartment, right? Because the apartment again is all the things inside that div, and I'm saying find a span that have the class. So you don't write the class as just ordinary class, you put an underscore in front of the class. So you say find a span that have this class property card dash price value, because like you've seen here in our 995 is property card dash price value. So it's more like you're doing a find inside that tree. Like if I have a tree of houses and just see it like maybe you're doing a query. Okay. I don't like to share my notebook, to be honest, but I'll share this one. I'll share this one that I'm using. But I'll share it. Yeah, I'll share it. Someone sent a DM, so that's why I'm responding to the person. So, what was I saying? Goodness, I forgot. Yeah, so I was saying that it's like you have a collection of data, and you're saying inside this plenty collection of data, fine, you already know the distinct thing, the thing, what you can use to fetch that thing out, and it is that there is a span that has this class, and I want to retrieve that span that have that class for me. So that's what we are doing in this first line. And then if you just print this alone, you see, let me show you what it will bring out. So let me comment this one. You can see we just return the span, but we don't need all these nonsense things that have come. We just need the value of that span, which is 995 PCN, the price of the house. So how to do that is this other line here. So you just do a info price, or you can, this can be any variable, but I just left that same. So you just do this, what you have gotten here, which is what we see, and you now do get the text. So I'm saying inside this, all of these things, what I need is the text inside that HTML. So, and I'm doing strip because sometimes strip basically just remove trailing spaces. So sometimes, you know, the web page, maybe they've put space in front of pound, but I want to strip any empty space before and after my text, like cleaning up. It's part of data cleaning, right? So that's what I've done here. So you will see that by the time I check, it returns the house price to me, basically. So for that part, but that's for that particular house, right? So I've only done it for that particular house. So let's pick another. So let me see. We want to get the info of the house. So this is a task for you all. Let's go and check the website. The info of the house is, I believe, is what I mean by that is, okay, the info of the house is like the kind of house it is. Let's say house type. So don't let me call it info. House type. So let's use this to check what property it is. So flat, right? So let's try to see which is inside text. Well, it's inside the span is inside text flat, right? And it's inside a div class. It's inside a div class that has property information. So let's check property information. It's not there. So definitely it has discarded it one way or the other. So how else do we get the price? So this, you can see that I'm doing this like hands-on straight up just to let you see. So what's the house address again? What's the house address again? Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Here's it. So let's check. So it's still this one, but this flat is inside property information, and it cannot find it here, flats, but it cannot find the property information. So I don't know if the class, there's a span class that will have text. I feel like text will be plenty here. Yeah, I said it. Text is probably plenty here, but let's see. Okay, no text. So something else you can do is to find this flat itself. Let's see if it will show flat here. Flats. Sorry. Okay, so we can see that it's showing you this description, but somehow, let me see if there's an H2 here. It's actually strange that it is showing, I don't want to accept that. But what is it showing it as? One bedroom flats. Interesting. So that's something I didn't even discover when I was doing the. Okay. So where did you see one bedroom flats here? I'm not sure, to be honest. But we can tell that this is a one. Let me open it in another tab. Yeah, we can see that it's a one bedroom flat actually. So this is, you know, where things shakes up. This is where you have to like be very creative, because as you see, Beautiful Soup did not give us any, it didn't pull this data as we've seen it here, but we can see that the piece of that data is somehow here, but it has just been represented in another way, but we know that we wanted to know if it's a flat or and kind of maybe it's 2-bed flat or 3-bed flat. So looking at, I will copy this thing here, and I want someone to look at the code I've written here and tell me how I can extract this information. You can unmute yourself. I just want to know if people are following or I'm boring you people. Oh goodness. Does anyone want to give it a try? So remember that for the price of the apartment, it was inside the span of class this. So if I'm going to do the same for H2, right? How do I go about it? Who wants to give it? I've even given you the clue without me knowing. Try. Okay. Okay. But we can't just find H2. There may be many H2, right? So what else do I need to do? Someone raised their hand. Do you want to talk? I don't want us to be muting and unmuting ourselves. So I will appreciate if you can chat. Send me what you want to say by chat, please. So Yetunde, you are close to it. My namesake. You are close to it. Do we get different content when rec.content is used instead? I don't know. To be honest, I've not tried rec. We can try. We can try res.content. You can try it. I didn't try it, but I don't even know if res.content can be used. So I'm not sure. Let's see. So I'm still waiting. No, like people are tired. Me so I'm tired. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat dinner. Everybody's tired. Let's call it a deal. So I've put res.content here. Let's see. Okay, I think it's going to be different from what I'm seeing here. You can see that is, let me go all the way up. Okay. This will also need some exploring. As you can see, is a lot. But I think it's going to be, I think it's the same. I think it's the same. I think it's the same. Yeah. You can also try, on your laptop and see, but from what I'm saying, I think it's just the same. I always use res.text, but I'm sure probably there may be a difference between it. So if you check the documentation, you may find the difference. So wait, nobody understands. Hey. Okay, so let's do a type because somebody has said find H2. So what's left? Thank you, Eniola. Exactly. So we do find H2 by the class property. So class underscore equals, what is here? Right. And it's the same thing. If you see me repeating things, it's because of time. I try to make this short, but as usual, it looks like I don't know how to do short courses. I'm always trying to pack many things inside one course or inside one class. What the hell? So yeah, thank you so much, Eniola, for bailing me out. So as you can see, it has given us, the kind of house it is. So we'll do one final one. I'll share. Don't worry, I'll share the whole code so that people are able to finish this up. But we can see that for now, I'm still doing it with one apartment though. Normally, I want to loop over that apartment variable, and then this code should be inside each of like the for loop. I will index it and then use the index value to find each of them, and then I collate it inside maybe a dictionary or something before I then transform it to using pandas. I can transform it to a CSV, for instance. So the other thing we want to do, that I think we've not covered in this class. For the address to is very easy. We can just use for the address, you can just find the class that have the address with this property card address, find address, right, with property card address, and then you get, you get the text basically. So you can do that with the address. So I'm going to skip the address, but there's something else that I want to show us, which is the description, because the description is in another kind of format. So in the description is inside an A class, inside this span, and you can see that inside this span, right, the span does not have class. It only has this property called item prop and data test. So let's try to look for the first text of this and see if it's maintaining the, the text, like it's maintaining what we are seeing here. Okay, so it is, thankfully it's inside the span data test, but there's no class here, right? There's no item prop. So the way to do that is through something else. So I'm going to show us how that is done straight up. Remember that those ones, they had the class. Sometimes it might be ID. So if it's ID, you just replace this with ID, right? If it's ID that is the same, common among everything. So let's use A for, so apartments. Like I said, I'm only doing for one apartment because when we are able to do it for one apartment, it's easy to really, talk about the rest. What am I? What's happening? Apartment one. Okay, so you see that it's different from this class because let me copy it. What I have here so that we can really examine why it's that way. Interesting. Let me put it as a text here. So you see that, why now? Okay, it's because it's reading it as, okay, let's just look at it like this. There's a span, right? Well, in this span, there's no class. What we have is data test and item prop, right? So for this one, we'll still do the find by span, but rather than putting it as like saying the one that has a class, we will now pass this dictionary here, where the key will be one of this property, and the value of the key is property description. So it's good. I can decide to use item prompt. Actually, let me try item prompt. Whatever was that. So you can see that it has given me the text, but just to prove that, it can be anything here. Every time I leave that thing, it's because it's interpreting the HTML because it's inside the span. Whatever. So I says find the span that have this property, right? So you see that it's the same thing, right? So it can be either of it, right? You can pick any property and then you return it. So that's basically how we've done it for just one. I'm just going to show us the code that I've used to do everything. I'm going to paste it here because I know you people want the notebook. So what I've done is, I'm going to explain. What I've done is I just created empty so that I can append all of those the details for each of them. And you can see what I have here is a for loop. So this for loop goes through each of the apartment. Remember, this one, I'm picking just one. That's why I'm indexing it here. So here I'm going through each of it, and the same thing that I've done by picking just the first, the second one, because I've used index one there. I'm now using I. So I represents, I'm not teaching for loop, so I want to assume that you know how for loop works. So that's what I've done. So I've gone through everything, and what I've done is I'm appending it to each of these links. So let's just do that. Apps links is not defined because I have not run this code yet. So by the time I do that, and I check, let's check. So the apps links is here. You can study that. But what I've done is to get the individual link And I've done this by finding the A class that have the A tag that have that class property card, blah, blah, blah. And I'm attaching the attributes because that attribute is what contained this property slash. So, and then I'm appending it to the website. I hope that makes sense. But if you study it, I'm sure you're going to get what I've done there. So if I check what apt links is, apt links have, I've appended all the links in the apartment. You can see. And if I click on any of them, you can see it's taking me to the individual. It's taking me to the individual, and they all have different IDs, right? If I click on any of them, it's taking me to the individual. Another thing you can do is you can script this individual, because remember, not all the information that we need, but sometimes you may want to just, you don't care about things like the furnishing or the let's type or something. So if the information you need already exists in that card on the main page, then you're fine to go. You're good to go. Otherwise, then you also do another script that scrape this one and you put it in another CSV. But in that CSV, you can have like a unique identifier, where your unique identifier is the details of each house, and you can just do it by, the ID here. Any questions so far? I feel like I've overwhelmed people. Oh my God. So let's check the addresses. You can see that the addresses. No. Any questions so far? Please use this opportunity to ask me questions, because we are basically kind of done. I know that time has gone, so I don't want to take it any longer. I'm just putting the code here for your own review. So you can see that each of the, so you know that this one, this is the address. This second one is the address. And the other thing I've done is now trying to put it in a data frame. So I put it in an object. So links, apt links, the arrays that I've done. Let's run that, and to make sure it's inside a good format, I use Pandas. Pandas is also another library that helps you. I'm actually working on a course to explain essential Python libraries and how they are using real life scenario and all that. So Pandas is one. Sorry. I'm so sorry. You can go through it, and if you have questions, you can take screenshots of whatever is not clear to you, and I'll explain. Okay, I know it's a lot. Forgive me. That's where you see that I like to teach you, because so you can see I put it in a data frame. So everything is, you can see now, this is a data set. So if I want to do an house regression task where I'm building a model that can predict, that should tell me what the house of a price, the price of a house should be, even me, I'm tired. The price of a house, what the price of a house should be. This can be like my features. Of course, this is too small, like address, info, and description. It's too small, right? So that's where you can like go to the extra page and gather even more data sets for each of the house, right? What if it's a page that has a see more or next? Yes, this page has something like that. Probably you didn't notice. The only difference, I know what you mean, because this one, they have pagination, right? And then you can just go to next, and then there's the index there. But if it is see more, like, okay, I think Google is indexing. I'm trying to think of a website that is like see more. So that's where you now need Selenium. So I don't know if you joined at the beginning, but I explained that it's not only Beautiful Soup you can use to scrape data, you can use Selenium. Because Selenium, I mentioned that earlier, Selenium like acts like you are the one going to the website. So in the Selenium script, you actually put it there that when it's also CMOS, you should continue to do CMOS and scrape the data until it doesn't see CMOS again. So, but if there is next there, I'm sure that there's pagination. If there is next there, because next is what we have here, right? So next is like next page, but see more doesn't take you to the next page, right? But I will also say sometimes it may have see more. The best way that you can really see if there is any tweak in the URL when you click see more is that you first start from the first page, you copy the URL somewhere, click on see more and see if the URL changes. So sometimes the pagination can still work with see more. It doesn't necessarily mean because there's no next, there's no tweak to the URL. So sometimes when you do see more, it can initiate an action that changes the URL. So you also want to study that and see if there's anything changing in your URL that is making it load more of that. I hope that answers your question, Tim. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, I know there are some things I've put here I've not explained, but once you go through this, if you have any question for me, feel free to ask in the class. I'll be very happy to answer. And a challenge for you is go to Jobberman and try to scrape it. Like I said, every Thursdays I post jobs, right? So you are doing the community good if you can do a script that you can just always run every Thursdays or every week. In fact, some people can be going there every day and they just run the script and they're able to get the jobs. They just change the search key and they're able to get jobs that fit in their features, right? If you can do it, I'm glad. If you can do it and have questions, I'm glad to help you. But please always ask questions in the group. I don't really appreciate when people come to the DM because the question you're asking, if everybody's coming to the DM, I'm not able to answer everyone, but someone else may have that question. When you ask and I give an answer, they are able to be, others learn basically. So that's what I would say. For the extension of this one, you can decide to scrape each of the what is here. It's very easy. Just start with inspect and follow the code base and all. That's basically what you need to do. So you can do as an extension to scrape each of them to get more details about the house. You can do it for one of, I don't know the letting agent that is used in Nigeria. I don't know, but you can decide to, use a letting agent even in America. It can be anywhere part of the world. You can go to any website and scrape the data. Basically, that's what I'm saying. But please, if you are going to take the challenge, I will notice someone that can scrape Jobberman for us so that we can be using it for our Thursdays job postings. And that brings us to the end of the class. I'll share this in the YouTube. I'll share the YouTube link tomorrow by God's grace, and I'll put the link of this notebook there and go through it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Any last question? Mercy, I don't even know if you are still here. I was going to ask if you can help me post the review. But we probably will post it in the, help me post the review in the, are there any restrictions to scraping some? Yes, like I said it now that Google does not allow you to scrape their website using Beautiful Soup. You have to use Selenium to scrape Google websites. You can try, somebody can try. There's no big deal. Like these basics I've given you should be able to help you scrape any website. And I would love to see if someone can actually challenge me and say I'm lying, like, oh, I'm wrong. I'm lying, I'm wrong. But I know that I've tried to do it for the images, not for the all pages anyway. The images pages, you have to use Selenium. You can't use Beautiful Soup. So yes, there are some websites, by the time what we've done here, where we did soup, where we did request or get URL and then we use Beautiful Soup to pass it. By the time you check what soup is, it will return empty to you. So yes, there are some websites you can scrape. They may have their reasons. They don't want you to have access to their data for some reasons. So yes, it's possible. And when that happens, there's really nothing you can do about it. That's the restriction that they've put, and they will have their reason for it. You probably just want to find another website that have that thing that you want and they can allow you scrape. So I can't, no website will allow you scrape, definitely. Okay, there are no more questions. So Mercy, please post, please, feedbacks are good. So please, when we share the feedback link, is very, within 5 minutes you are done. At least we've been here for like almost 2 hours. So if I can spend 2 hours with you, I think 5 minutes of your time for feedback and review basically is not too much to ask for. So please kindly please, drop your reviews of this particular session. For those of you interested in data analysis, we'll begin like a set of masterclass workshops from next month, September, and we'll cover SQL and Power BI. I don't like to hype things, but don't miss it, because the person that is even teaching the Power BI is someone that has won this particular hackathon. It's called Angel. It's an international hackathon. She has won it back to back. Basically, like she has won it back to back, and the hackathon is actually on data visualization. So I can tell you she's good at what she does. Like she's very good. Like she has worked in that particular international hackathon. She has won it last year. She recently won another one this year. So if you're interested in data analysis, go for all the class that we are going to start from next month. I can tell you that I'm very protective of my name, my brand, and everything. So I won't bring rubbish people. In fact, if I bring it an instructor and they are doing rubbish, I can take over the class from them. That's how I can be very particular about my classes. So if you are interested in data analysis, make sure that September is from September to December. We share the workshops schedule in the group. So clear your calendars, try to be there, because I'm very sure that especially that Power BI classes, you don't want to miss it, because I've seen what that particular person, it's free. It's free, Machi, don't worry. I'm not charging you guys. So you see, this is why, imagine there are like 300 people and only 20 people are here. So you people, I've decided that it's based on that class that will determine if we will continue the workshop. I have things to do, to use my own time for. So I actually do paid classes, free one-on-one. I do paid one-on-one classes with people. So I can open up my calendar to accommodate many of my clients that want me to do one-on-one with them than sitting with things that people are doing, I'm giving for free and people don't appreciate. So it's free. It's actually free from September to December. Who is the instructor? You will get to know. Link to the group. Okay, it's a WhatsApp group. Let me share it. Mercy, are you here, please? But let me send it to the, let me send it here. You're welcome. You're welcome. How can I turn a web script data into a table in Excel for analysis? You can use pandas for it. Basically, you can use pandas for it. But I can't cover that in this class. Like I said, I'm going to have, though I'm releasing a course, but it's going to be a paid course where I'm going to be teaching like the 101 of data analytics, but it's going to be a paid course, because I've realized something that is free, people don't appreciate. It's like this one. So I'm going to release a course. So I'll be covering some of those things in that course if you're interested. So I can't answer that one in this class. Are there any restrictions to scripting? Okay. Okay. Yeah, they are. In fact, what you're asking is what I plan to cover this in the classes, how you can turn a data frame, save it in a database with SQL, or how you can save it as an Excel, how you can save it as a CSV, and all of those things. So, but it's not something I can cover right now because of time. But yep, I look forward to the classes, the data analysis class for September. Invite your friends, families, everyone that needs to be here. And I think I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm also going to stop recording now, because I believe